Hi everyone. All right, so today's is the third time I'm coming out live, and yesterday we talked about the quantum transition of our planet, of ourselves, and what it all meant. You can watch the yesterday's video either on TikTok or on uh, Instagram in the previous uh, live recordings. Very interesting topic if you're curious. Today I'm going to talk about someone who is very, very difficult to love to. So, who is the hardest person to love? The uneasiest person to love is, of course, self. So, today's topic is self love. There's one parable about self love. One student was unable to accomplish a simple task assigned to him by his teacher. He became very frustrated and he exclaimed in his heart, I hate myself. Stupid, ridiculous klutz. Don't say that. You should love and respect yourself. Immediately stopped the teacher his attempt at self abuse. Love myself? The student was dumbfounded. Uh, like those narcissistic turkeys who love no one but themselves, those that scream that they deserve better. That's a last thing I need right now, said the student. He looked at the teacher with surprise. We are taught from childhood to be critical of ourselves. That's why I came to learn from you, because I know my imperfections. The teacher sighed. Did I speak of the inflated ego of fools? Does reasonable self love ever prevent you from wanting to get better, from working on yourself? Should the not knowing how to do something be regarded as disadvantage and not as the next summit to which you aspire, to which you want to climb? Probably it doesn't. No, it doesn't prevent. The teacher interrupted decisively. Without loving and respecting yourself, will you know what it means to love and respect others? Love the world? But again, the student tried to object, and the master again interrupted. If you disrespect and contempt for the most important person in your heart, for yourself, how can you know what it is to love people? The student still continued to insist. It's enough to love your loved ones to understand it. Are you sure that love for your loved ones without love for yourself is real? Asked the teacher. I'm sure. And why do you insist on loving yourself and not others? Asked the student. If it's just your parents and your soulmate, perhaps. Well, because if you don't love yourself, if you don't know what self love is, you can't love someone else with all your heart, and even more so to achieve victories in working on self. You're saying that I failed? Well, yeah, only love and self respect lead a person to perfection and help him to master any science and reach any peak. But how does precisely self love make that happen? Because uh, only those who love themselves are in harmony with the world. And our world lives in self love. Love builds it up, and lack of love in the world permits uh, if the world permits the lack of love to happen, then there will be a destruction of it. And the world helps, supports, and teaches only those who loves and appreciates themselves. The one who loves and respects oneself attracts love and respect of the world. The world rejects the one who does not love oneself, and therefore does not give him neither knowledge nor any victories. And it turns out the fact that we're indoctrinated from childhood that we're not worthy and imperfect, that we have nothing to love ourselves for and need to earn it. It is just a coincidence, you think? Apparently not. I think the authorities don't want people who are strong and balanced, who love and respect themselves. They're hard to control and become unpredictable. Under certain conditions, we can love even downcast people, coming up with all sorts of excuses for them. But how difficult it is to love ourselves, to forgive ourselves for our mistakes, not realizing that we're not wrong. We are learning. All situations in our lives are just for our good. No matter the choice we make, at any step in our life, we either immediately receive the benefit, the joy, the happiness, or we may receive the experience, the learning opportunity. It may sometimes not feel nice to ourselves, but this is also a benefit. It teaches us. It makes us look at what were the true motives, what were the true reasons why we made that unpleasant something that brought us to this today's moment when we're experiencing the unhappy moment. If we learn how to really look back at ourselves. And this self-loathing is what a person pours out on others without even realizing it. In fact, every person projects all the characteristics of self on others, including dissatisfaction with self. Someone who does not like oneself exhausts body with diets, excessive exercise, excessive work, gets obsessed with plastic surgery, for example, and as a result eventually undermines his own health, of course. All of this was created with the idea of people to keep their health and body in shape, in tone, but is there difference of doing out of need and unacceptance and doing out of want? In the pursuit of self-love, a person forgets about this because he or she does not accept self the way he or she is. I want to be perfect. I want to conform. Standards, fashions, trends are invented by someone, and a person there simply wants warmth, attention, affection, feelings from others, and often thinking that corresponding to some standard that someone had invented will get him out of the missing love and care. But this only comes from the fact that one is locked out from feeling love from the two main sources, from self and from the higher power, which is the unconditional love itself. People call it different names: higher power, God, creator, universe, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Allah. All those are the greatest channelers of the unconditional love, which is the source of everything and is infinite, and it's within everyone's reach. The majority of us continue to live it, not consciously, in the darkness of fears, doubts, dissatisfaction with self, not accepting that broad connection to this great power, which is love. The only thing that one really needs to do, so simple yet so complicated, is to remember this, to remember to awaken and reconnect with this source. There's nothing but imaginary obstacles separating one from that source. One needs nothing other than just self to reconnect to it, for never one really lost that connection. One just made barriers to not see it. And when a person does not love self and feels lonely, abandoned, disconnected from the source of love, he or she cannot channel this love to anyone. There's just nothing to channel when he doesn't have it himself. It's like, I can't really help your thirst if I myself don't have anything to drink. These people do not know how to accept love and consider themselves unworthy of love. And this can be on both conscious and or subconscious level, because of the on the conscious level, Our upbringing, traditions of our ancestors were built on the theory of complete dedication to others. Children, parents, partner, society. They set norms of morality and conscious for this purpose. They interpret to us various notions, including religious ones. And these dogmas are very strong, as they were built on the fear of being punished for disobedience. For example, the expression of Jesus, the one that says, love your neighbor as yourself. Everything is simple and clearly stated, except that the order of action is not specified. What it really means is love yourself, and then you can love your neighbor, because you will understand, recognize, feel what true unconditional love is. You will accept it in your heart, and then from there, from your heart, you will be able to give love to others. And if you try to forget about yourself in this equation, ignore your desires, insult, humiliate self, or let yourself be humiliated, manipulated, how do you build your relationships with others? You will build it exactly the same way. You are manipulated, then you yourself manipulate. You are ignored, then you ignore too. These are the ways that we treat each other, and those are our mirrors. And this leads to deterioration of relations with others, to stress, depression, problems at work, in the family. It leads to health problems. And then we blame the pharma of owing us. Contrarily, I think that we should thank them for the opportunity to bring ourselves to such darkness where we hopefully will remember what we have lost and seem to be looking for centuries now. Will we understand that lesson? This world is in such need of love, but there are so few that can truly channel it still in such needed quantities. When you love yourself, you are in harmony with the world around you. You're calm and peaceful. You gain additional vitality. You're happy, and all life is filled with the whole life is then filled with meaning and joy. So what is that keeps us from showing love to ourselves? Well, number one would be the old stereotypes, beliefs. I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm not worthy of love. Loving myself is selfish, shameful, wrong. I don't know what love is. I can't afford to love myself. Or our fear-related beliefs. I'm afraid to love. I'm afraid to trust. I'm afraid to be rejected. I'm afraid I will hurt others with my selfish self-love. Then there's also a substitution of concepts. For example, as it can be a self-love to selfishness or necessity. Is self-love an egoism? Not at all. We receive from the universe what we ourselves are able to give unselfishly. If we generously give our love, warmth, and care to others, it is wonderful. What we give comes back to us in the form of pleasant events and benefits. But the same boomerang works in relation to self. If we treat ourselves with proper respect, care, and love, our physical body will soon pay us back with ailments and problems. Therefore, self-love is not selfishness, but one of the basic rules of a happy person. Is self-love permissive? If I love myself, does it mean that I can allow myself any weakness? Justify any of my deeds? Well, not quite. After all, when a person loves self, that person begins to live consciously and realizes that love self means to take care of self. If we truly love ourselves, we will not allow ourselves to eat fast food uncontrollably. We will not poison ourselves with cigarettes or alcohol. We will not be in toxic relationships with partners that drain us. We will force ourselves to get up off the couch for a healthy walk or exercise. To think about what we put in our mouths, what we drink, and what makes us happy in general. We're going to allow and permitted to ourselves. Excuse me. And remember, what happens to you is what you allow to happen to yourself. Constant criticism, for an instance, of oneself, what one has done or what one has not done, for what one has failed to do. And here the beliefs of that I'm useless, I'm nobody, nothing, they can also come out at that time. Never berate yourself in something that does not work out. Terrible scolding of yourself will not bring anything good. The universe hears us and reacts to our words and thoughts. So when we think or talk badly about ourselves, it can attract even more trouble. It is much better to say or think things like, "My world cares about me." Another thing is probably worth mentioning is the low self-esteem, consequence of self-criticism. If one doesn't love self, how can one expect love from others? Doesn't one set an example of how the other should treat him by his own example of treating self? When one has a very low opinion of self, constantly berating self, how can one expect love from others? And when one also is manipulated by others, is a consequence of self-criticism and it's an example of self-criticism and low self-esteem. Most of these schemes, the manipulator builds into his everyday behavior. The greatest danger of these schemes is that they are used against you, but you yourself do not even realize what is happening. Almost all of these tactics take advantage of basic feelings such as fear, anger, or empathy. A manipulator can find a way to provoke you into these emotions for absolutely no good reason. That's why we need to earn sorry, I meant to say not earn, to learn to recognize them. For example, guilt. Guilt is a silent way of manipulation. Guilt is a fairly strong emotion. People can manipulate you through blame. Manipulators force you to do or say things solely for the benefit of others, and you think you are benefiting yourself because your actions allow you to free yourself from that guilt, forcing you to feel insecure. To do this, they will try to identify those situations in which you feel weak in your beliefs or lack of self-love. Your insecurity allows them to manipulate you through negative criticism, ridicule, and belittling you. Manipulators may also try to confuse you by presenting your small mistakes as something very big and scary. They can make you think that they know something about you that you don't even know about yourself. Also, someone can evoke pity. Some people may pretend sometimes that even unconsciously to be vulnerable or in need in order to make you feel compassion for them. If someone is constantly pretending to be needy and dependent, they are probably using one of the manipulation techniques. And then your actions begin to be guided by pity for that person. What you don't realize is that this is just a trap that they are using to control you. Then there's also a fueling narcissism. We should not always trust flattery. We unconsciously begin to treat such a person with more trust, which he or she can use to his own advantage. If you want to successfully resist flattery, then you need to know yourself well. If you know yourself, then neither flattery nor enthusiastic admiration will take you by surprise. Subtle intimidation through activating your fear of any kind. Manipulators also limit themselves to subtle hints that certain behaviors can lead to big trouble. Pretending to be stupid is another one. Not able to do, not knowing. here the main goal is to delegate the responsibility to another because someone does it better. And all this is really a shifting one's own responsibility to another person. And it also comes with the benefit of holding the other one accountable for the consequences of whatever is done. So, what exactly happens when you make the decision to love self, to shift to that, to actually allow yourself to love self? When you start moving towards yourself, you may lose many people who are comfortable in your lack of freedom, your ease of manipulation, to whom you may have allowed a hasty rejection of your own opinion and who would seek to boost their own ego by those means. You'll be unveiling many discoveries about what in fact your life was consisted of, in which you did not decide anything, where you were walking away from your responsibility, did not choose anything where the choice was needed. You will instantly lose interest away from those who can no longer get you hooked on guilt, insecurity, the need to criticize yourself or doubt yourself and manipulate your habitual reactions. You'll stop buying love and stop selling it too. You'll stop earning approval. You will lose the need to cater to other people's opinions of yourself, giving that opportunity to those who monitor your life day and night. There's one expression that I really like. It's called it sounds this way. It's your right to think whatever you want about me, and I have the right to not meet your expectations. You will find an opponent in yourself who will itch in your ear that the previous state was normal. Why did you need this revolution? Why need to change? But this opponent will disappear along with the fear which you dare to look into the eyes of. The journey to self-love is not a revolution or a war, because you're not fighting. You're simply returning to the neglected house of your own soul, which you have to scrub clean, remove tons of junk, and lovingly fill with what you truly need. And it is the most grateful work in the world. Don't be afraid to be yourself. It's much scarier to be everywhere else but at home. A special tip is to let yourself be yourself. Be yourself first. Treat yourself as if you were the most precious person in your life. Show self how it can really be. It is unlikely that you will allow this person to drink tea from a cup with a chipped edge, to make do with snacks instead of a full meal, to not take care of your body, to inhale dust while sitting in a dirty room. And believe me, the energy of your change consciousness will soon be felt and seen by others as a change in your self-esteem, and will gradually change their behavior towards such a wonderful person. When you love yourself, you will not let anyone hurt you, including self. You will choose only the best, the most useful for you in food, drink, beauty, everyday life. You will unmistakably find the things that will make you even happier. A hot bath, a delicious drink, a chance to be with yourself, a trip to give yourself a sea of new bright emotions. For all of this, start listening to yourself, to your desires, to your feelings, and let yourself have it. This is the message for today, and if I can ask one thing of you, if you felt something while listening to this message, if it resonated, if it felt like it was balancing you and guiding you toward a better version of self, then please share it with whomever you think it may be beneficial to. Maybe you have a friend or a relative that feels like they're in need. Perhaps listening to this will help them remember self and free up the flow of their rivers of light once again. Have a lovely evening, day, or morning, wherever you are. See you soon in the future podcasts. It's been a pleasure.